Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about my new training cycle, which is conjugate training, and essentially why I'm doing conjugate training and what conjugate training consists of. And I'll be running you through the exact training I did in the video and why I did it and essentially how it's going to benefit me in the long run. So what conjugate training is it's a training cycle where it's very, very fatiguing on your central nervous system because it consists of 2 days where you do max effort work, where you're either doing a 3 rep max or a 1 rep max, and then 2 days where you're doing dynamic speed work on the big 4 lifts. Essentially, the whole goal is for you to build extreme static strength in the big 4 lifts, which are squat, bench, deadlift, and overhead press. So day 1 would be maxing out a variation of deadlift or squats, and then day 2 would be maxing out either a variation of your squat or your bench press or overhead press. Then in between these days, you want to be having at least 24-hour rest because your central nervous system is going to be absolutely battered. It's going to be fried. And then for day 3, you're going to do speed work. And speed work is where you take a very light weight and you move it as fast as you can. So day 3 would be dynamic effort speed work on squats and deadlifts. And then day 4 would be dynamic speed work on overhead press and bench. So in the video, it was day 3, which was dynamic speed work on squats and deadlifts, as you can see. With speed work, I like to use bands or chains. The reason I like to use bands or chains is because of the accommodating resistance. The first pull feels like there's no added resistance. It just feels like the weight of the bar. But once the bar starts to travel past the shins and past the knee, you start to feel like you're almost being dragged downwards because this resistance, accommodating resistance, starts to kick in and you essentially have to apply more force. So your body's always changing it's always changing its amount it's applying force. Because at the start, you want to be pulling as fast as you can because you know once the bar passes the knees, you're going to have to exert more force. So what that does is really, really helps with your speed work. And the way I like to do these is on the minute, every minute. The reason I like to do these is because I get a lot of volume in. If someone had done, for example, these, where it was like 3 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 3, you have to rest 3 minutes and it doesn't work. It's not great. So if you do on the minute, every minute, 3 reps on the minute, every minute, essentially, I do it for 12 minutes. That's 36 reps in 12 minutes. That's super quick. That's super, super fast. So once it hits 1, once I start the clock, I do 3 reps. Once it hits a minute, I do 3 reps. Once it hits 2 minutes, I do 3 reps. And I rest in between those time periods. This is a super good way for you to get a lot of volume in a short period of time, especially if you're, time conscious. And the reason I'm doing these is because I like to work on my max effort strength, but having just high strength and force production isn't everything because power is force times velocity. Being able to have high force is not everything because if you're able to have high force plus high velocity, then your power is massive. I used to run track and play football. I've jumped 40 inches vertical jump and I have a 3 meter broad jump. So I like to always be athletic. So many guys out here, they're super strong, but you wonder why can't they jump high? Why can't they sprint fast? Why can't they, have a high broad jump? It's because they're not training that velocity portion of power. It's so important. I always like to just, keep my velocity, keep my force output, keep my power output always high because it tends to drop a lot during like January because I'm just training powerlifting or strongman or just like, Olympic weightlifting. Olympic weightlifting is good though because you get a lot of velocity in. So as you can see here, we went straight back into squats, straight after deadlifts, because again, on the minute, every minute, 3 reps on the minute, every minute, because we do deadlifts, then squats. Depending on, if for example, because we do a rotation, 1 week we do deadlift max out, the next week we do squat max out. We don't max out both squats and deadlifts on the same week. So if I maxed out my deadlift on Monday, I would do deadlifts first on dynamic day. And vice versa, if I max out my squat this week, then I'll do squats first on dynamic day. Because this way, you're really putting more emphasis on the deadlifts. If I had done squats first on dynamic day and I had a max out on the deadlifts, The week's not really deadlift or squat focused. You want to put the most focus on the day you're maxing out. And talking about recovery, I'm going to talk a bit about recovery because this is so crucial in conjugate programming. If you're not recovering, and when I say recovering, I mean sleep, nutrition, and, protein intake and what you're doing outside of your sessions, it is so crucial that you are sleeping at least 7 hours. At least. Do not be sleeping under 7 hours because your nervous system it's so taxing on it. You need to be recovering or else you're not going to get the most out of the program. And you need to be having at least 24 hours in between sessions, at least, because you're going to have high risk of injury and you're going to be weak as hell, And when it comes to protein, the whole point of the program is you want to build static strength and explosive strength. You need at least 1 gram of protein per pound body weight. Essentially, I try to hit 2. So I'm trying to bulk up, I'm trying to get bigger and really, really get stronger. So if you can hit 2, 1.5, these are optimal amounts. But 1 gram will get the job done. Anything less than that, then don't do the program. Honestly, you need at least 1 gram of protein per pound body weight. So if I weigh 200 pounds, which I don't, I would need 200 grams of protein a day, minimum. I was doing these with my mate, actually, as you can see in the video, but he was super fatigued from parkour the day before, so he didn't really do on the minute, every minute with me, because it would be way too hard for him. He was too sore, and yeah, it wasn't great. But essentially, if you're an athlete who runs track, who does powerlifting, who does long jump, who does basketball, and plays in American football, soccer, netball, volleyball, conjugate program is for you. It will help with your explosive strength, your static strength, and power output. Vertical jump, broad jump, all these things it will help with.